Okay, so Lloyd, we're at Boreas Freeze Dry. I think this is an impressive facility. Like, what are your thoughts as of all the facilities that you've seen? What are your thoughts of this place?
Well, Boreas is pretty unique in the sense that they will attempt anything. Most freeze-dry facilities are pretty specific. They do one type of product, not necessarily one product, but one type of product. Maybe they only do fruits, maybe they'll do vegetables, but usually don't see meats, seafood, fruits, vegetables all under one roof. And if you do, they're in different rooms. Now they have a pretty cool setup. They've got the right certifications, and that's not an easy task. Most facilities turn people looking for freeze drying away because they say, I want to run this product A and product B. We'll run A, but we won't run B, or vice versa. So they're pretty unique in that sense that they cover a broad spectrum. And in talking to Heath earlier, you've seen that it's been a challenge, but they've certainly done a good job with it, and they have different sections, good washdowns between products, and they schedule it out so they are able to run all these different things.
A lot of the certifications that Boreas has worked to get to, like SQF,
Yep.
What does that actually mean for a facility like this in terms of the amount of clients that they can bring on, in terms of the amount of workload it brings, all of that?
So it opens up the doors to a lot of different types of clients. Some facilities, if it's a smaller client, they might not require that. They might just want a plant visit, and their quality assurance department will say, yes, you have this type of control in place. Yes, you have pest control. Yes, you have separation of ingredients, allergens, that type of thing. But an SQF audit, it's internationally recognized, and it covers A to Z from delivery of product all the way until sanitation, the package in its final stages, approval of labels. It covers all of that. It's pretty extensive. If you were to put it in non-digital form, it's probably like 10 binders worth of information, and it usually takes anywhere from 2 to 4 days to go to, depends on what level you're at. So having that allows them to talk to people from big store chains, even the small guys that go, if you have that, then you're okay for our stores. They won't even consider you if you don't have that type of certification or equivalent. So the fact that they have it is, it's certainly a bonus to them, and the fact that they have such a broad spectrum of things, of different products, types of products, is also rare to find in freeze drying.
As we make our way to the machine, like, you've seen a lot of different facilities, and I'm sure you've seen larger facilities than this. But there's cut-in machines here. There's also Textor Systems machines here. Is that unique to have different OEMs? What have you seen, and what does that mean for the whole industry, for new co-packers that are going to come here?
So it's not necessarily unique, because usually when people get into freeze drying, they start experimenting. They don't really know where to go. It's only in the more recent years that there's more education about freeze drying, and you can kind of look into the type of equipment. If you go 15 years ago, there weren't a lot of sources of freeze drying in the US. I mean, there were equipment. I've used some of them in the past, and sometimes when you go down one path, you just stick with it. Boreas has taken a different approach. They have different types of equipment, and while they're both freeze dryers, they do different things on those units. Some apply better. Some you could do all on one unit, but because they have two types, they're able to, conquer and divide. Divide and conquer. So it is a little bit unique, but it's not uncommon to see people start and then they go down in one direction. Boreas is kind of spread out because they have different processes.
Is co-packing and toll processing facilities in demand right now? Is there not enough of them? And how big could this industry get in this particular type of business model? That is a bit of a loaded question, but there's always going to be demand for toll drying. In your side of things, you deal with a lot of people on the smaller side of freeze drying, people who are just starting out, and the equipment's not inexpensive. I mean, even if you're buying your most basic kind, it's still pretty expensive for your average person even to start a business. So a lot of people in that segment, from the small to medium, benefit from companies like Boreas, because they can come in and so can you run cycles for us? And then everything's done for them, and they get charged for doing it. But then they have access to top of the line equipment. They have all their certifications they need for it, and basically then they can take off the ground. At some point, those people graduate and do their own, and some people just grow with co-packing. Yeah.
So co-packing is going to be there. I don't think there's any place where it would diminish. I think it's only going to grow. You see big companies
sometimes you see a company will, they won't shut down. They'll sell to somebody else, and somebody's like, I need that capacity, and then it switches hands, but it doesn't diminish. I think it's just going to continue to grow.
What would you say is the percentage of freeze drying producers that use toll processing, like and co-packing services, and have a partner like that, versus the ratio of people that are doing it vertically integrated?
I'd really have to look at data for that, but just gut feeling and from what I see around from the people we speak to, I would say most small to medium go through a toll manufacturer, and there's not that many of them. There's only a handful, but the volume goes through them. And then you have probably maybe 60% of people that they have their own facilities, but they're very specific. They won't do anybody else's product. They only do their own product. Like the dairy folks only touch their own product. They very rarely will do something for somebody else. People in pet food, if they have freeze drying and they have a brand, they usually stick to their brand and very rarely will do something for somebody else. If they're not at full capacity and they want to sell capacity, they might sell a cycle or two a week to somebody. But facilities like this, 100% dedicated to open doors. We're open for business, whoever wants to freeze dry. The more flexible they are, the more business they have. But I would say that there's probably about 40% of that.
Yeah, such a huge opportunity, because there's different business models you can have in freeze drying. You can be a producer, you can be the operator, right. You can be the consultant, you can be the service side of things.
And there's a whole bunch of different sides to it as well. There are facilities that source the raw material. They will slice and dice, make the shape they want to, put it in the freeze dryer, and then bulk distribute, or they also finish packaging into finished SKUs, either their own brand or white label for somebody else. So even in the same facility, the same structure, there's so many different paths you can take.
Yeah.
Some facilities just say, deliver to IQF to us. We'll freeze dry it, we'll send it out to you in bulk, and their business is material in, freeze dry out. Whereas others are more into the shape, size, nutrition, content, formula, recipes of different products, specifically in pet food. If you want to make a specific claim for all life stages or puppies only, then that formulation can happen in the plant, or it can come from third party. So same facility can do both. It just depends on how they structure it.
Yeah, you can either be very narrow or be very broad.
Correct.
We're going to get to seeing what this actual Cuddon freeze dryers look like here at Boreas, but I want to encourage you, if you love freeze drying, if you love content, let's give this video a like, make sure other people see it on YouTube and other social media platforms. So do that right now, or subscribe to the channel. I'd love for you to get notified of more videos coming up about Cuddon, Boreas, more about freeze drying.